name is Patricia Baños García, and I'm a student of the University of Valladolid. I studied primary education with the specialty of English as a foreign language. And I'm glad to be here sharing with you my final degree project, which is about the use of music and drama in the learning of a foreign language. This is the index I'm going to follow: a brief introduction, then the theoretical foundation and background, then the methodology itself, which is the main part of the project, the analysis of the project result and scope, and I'll finish with some conclusions. Firstly, why this project? Well, last year I had the opportunity to carry out my internship in a non-bilingual state school in Valencia, which is my city. And there, I reflect on the methodology carried out by my teacher, which was based on music and drama. But the activities were more oriented to oral skills, so I felt I could work on the written part of a language. That's why I began this project. I planned it following the scientific method, and so my hypothesis was music and drama can be good instruments to develop the students' reading and writing. So the overall objective of this project is to create a methodology based on music and drama to plan, develop, and evaluate a classroom proposal to work on the written skills. Before going to the methodology, I've built a brief framework dealing with different authors and their theoretical approaches to teaching a foreign language. So first of all, which are the main advantages, the main opportunities of using music and drama as a teaching resource? First of all, they favor an attractive environment where children are relaxed and they are more willing to participate. They feel motivated and they are totally involved in all the senses in their learning processes. Also, as they combine the kinesthetic and musical intelligence with the linguistic and visual ones, they use both sides of the brain and they allow a highly memorable learning. Also, as there are lots of resources related to music and drama, they provide flexibility and adaptability to any teaching context or to any objective or content you want to develop. Also, music and drama arise naturally in children, and they have similar codes to those of the language regarding music structures and linguistic structures, which are quite similar. And finally, as students are motivated, they are more willing to guide their own process of learning, so they give autonomy and individualization to the learning process. Then how we learn a foreign language? Well, we'll try to clarify the answer of this question, which is a difficult one, following 6 different authors. Firstly, Chomsky. He explains that through the language acquisition device, a child receives an input, information, they generate hypotheses in their mind, and then when they produce the output, they check whether these hypotheses were true or not. Kraslen follows this line and he explains the language acquisition through 5 hypotheses, but 2 of them are really important. Firstly, the acquisition versus language hypothesis. That means we learn a language through using it, not through studying its grammar. And then the understandable input hypothesis, which stipulates that we learn a language if the input we receive is difficult, slightly above our current level of English. Van Patten also delves into the role of the input, but regarding the input processing and not the level of the message. He explains that to understand a message, we must assimilate it in parts. First, the meaning, relying on the gestures, on the songs, and then the formal parts, which is the grammar. Also, Brunner retakes this idea of the input and he explains that to understand an input, the child must be active, must participate actively in the interaction. He explains we process and classify and categorize every information we receive, and that in this way, the most stimuli we receive, and if they are different, like visual, iconic, kinesthetical stimuli, more accurate this categorization will be, and thus more complete our knowledge of the language will be. At this point, we get to the conclusion that to learn a language, we need an input to be received. We need another person. Vygotsky, following this interactionist perspective, explains that through interaction, children build their zone of proximal development, an environment in which they are comfortable enough to take risk in communicative acts. And in this zone of proximal development, children feel comfortable to scaffold the knowledge they are getting, to build the knowledge basing on the one they have and introducing the new one. And this scaffolding system lays the foundation of interlanguage, described by Selinker. Interlanguage consists of using transfers, which are linguistic forms halfway between the mother tongue and the second language they are learning. They are errors, but they should be understood as steps of the process of learning. And we shouldn't correct them, but we can complete their meaning by using our body, by using our gestures, and this way the meaning of the transfer will be perfectly understood. Well, once we talk about the theories that support my methodology, I'll introduce the communicative methodology, the task-based learning, and the TPRs, total physical response TPRs from now on. Communicative methodology. It seeks to fully develop the communicative competence that, according to the Common European Framework of Reference, is a combination between linguistic, sociolinguistic, and pragmatic strategies. But how to link it to music? Well, music has an unmistakable role in guiding situations. For instance, we can see it in cafes where music is used to control the level of noise. We can do exactly the same in class. We can use music to control the level of noise, to guide individual or groupal activities, or we can use drama to support an activity, to work on the formal part of the language, to work on grammar, on syntax. And also, as English is a stress-time language, we can use chants to emphasize the words of the sentence that have the key information of the sentence. Task-based approach. Well, it consists on using tasks, which are small actions students do in which they have to imply a meaningful use of language. They need all of their strategies to solve a situation. This task should be structured with small dramatized and sung chunks. This way, if we repeat exactly the same times with the same gestures and the same intonation, once they hear this chunk, they can perfectly know what is going to happen. They can anticipate, and this gives them security and confidence. And finally, the total physical response. It is an approach described by Asher that consists on linking concepts to physical actions. First, you do the gestures, the movements, and then you include the oral speech, the music, or you mix the moves and the oral speech. This way, the gestures reinforce the meaning and the form of the message. Well, taking these communicative methodologies, I've prepared a standard lesson plan, a model you can use in any age and any educational context. It consists of 4 moments, greetings and farewell, in which we initiate or close our lesson using songs or TPRs to activate them or to calm them down. Then the assembly moment, which consists of introducing what we are working on and also doing the routines. That, remember, each routine may have a chunk, a dramatized and musical chunk associated to each routine. Then the problem solving, which is basically working with tasks, and the conscious work of contents, in which we can use several materials, games, ICTs, daily objects, to work on the oral skills and the written skills in the foreign language. In this sense, I prepared several activities to work on reading and writing, but here I'm going to explain you two of them. The first one is a reading activity prepared for year 2, and the topic is food. It consists on a circle of questions and answers. The first student takes a flashcard, which is facing down in the middle, reads it, and they have to make an affirmative sentence with information of the flashcard, saying, I like bananas. I like bananas. And he asks to the next child, what do you like? The next child has to take a flashcard, read it, and do three things. First, do a negative sentence with information of the previous child. I don't like bananas. Add the affirmative one. I like strawberries. And ask again to the next child, what do you like? And this way, they all do the same pattern. The next activity is a reading activity about games and is prepared for year 4. Two pairs of students play at the same time. One have to take a flashcard, read it, and mimic the meaning of the flashcard. Imagine it is hide and seek. The other has to guess what he is miming and write it in the blackboard. If it is correctly written, they have to build a sentence using can or can't and the vocabulary of the item of the flashcard. Imagine I can't play hide and seek. Well, as there are lots of activities, I prepare an auxiliary resource bank that consists of physical resources, books, flashcards, costumes, whatever, then online resources, basically blogs and YouTube, and resources created by the teacher like puppets or tongue twisters. Then the analysis of the project results and scope to finish. After having linked the theories with my practice and after having analyzing the limitations of the project, I can consider that my initial hypothesis was true, that music and drama are good instruments to develop the students' reading and writing. Why? Because they motivate the participation of the students, because they allow a highly memorable learning, a lasting one, because they involve children in real situations in which they have to use language, which provides a comprehensive and global acquisition of the language. And then, as there are lots of resources, that you don't really need specific conditions in your school to put this in practice. So it is adaptable to any socioeconomic context, to work with any didactic opportunities, any key competence to develop any objective. And also it's really interesting for students with special needs because they are completely included in the group and they can follow the class perfectly as the rest of their classmates. Also, as students feel involved in their learning process, they can manage themselves and they can autonomously guide their learning processes, which allows an individualized student-centered teaching. To conclude with my presentation, I checked the veracity of my initial hypothesis. Dramatization and musicality are fantastic instruments to develop the written skills in the foreign language. But however, what I have really learned about this project is the importance of educational research as the only way to achieve meaningful and quality education. We need investigation to offer a highly quality teaching and learning system in our country. I'm really glad to be here sharing with you my final degree project. I hope you enjoy the presentation and somehow it is helpful for you as teachers. And I just want to keep working with you for a successful educational future. Thanks for listening.